The lights of Nexus Prime space station flickered like stars against the black sky. Ships from all over the galaxy came and went from the huge trading post. Tall aliens with green skin counted boxes of rare metals. Small blue creatures with 4 arms fixed broken machines. Round aliens that looked like living rocks rolled past carrying heavy loads. But in the dark corners of the station, away from the busy markets and bright shops, something was hiding. Kira pressed herself deeper into the shadows behind a pile of old cargo boxes. Her pale blue skin was dirty and her silver eyes were wide with fear. She had not eaten for 2 days. The small piece of bread she found yesterday was long gone. Her stomach hurt and her throat was dry. She was only 12 years old and completely alone. The other aliens on the station knew she was there. Sometimes they saw her looking for food in the trash areas. But nobody helped her. Nobody even looked at her for very long. To them, she was just another problem they did not want to deal with. Kira was a Lumeni. Her people used to live on a beautiful world with purple skies and singing trees. But that world was gone now, destroyed in a terrible war. Most of her people were dead. The few who escaped were scattered across the galaxy like seeds in the wind, and nobody wanted them. The sound of heavy boots made Kira curl up smaller behind the boxes. Someone was coming down the dark hallway. She held her breath and hoped they would not see her. "Lisa, check those containers over there," a deep voice said. "Sam, you take the left side. Amy, stay close and watch for anything unusual." Kira heard more footsteps. These people were searching for something. Maybe they were looking for her. Maybe someone had told them about the small alien girl hiding in the storage areas. Her heart beat so fast it hurt. A bright light suddenly shined on her hiding place. Kira squeezed her eyes shut and waited for the shouting to start. Waited for them to grab her and throw her off the station. "Well, hello there," the deep voice said. But it was not angry. It was gentle and kind. Kira opened one eye and looked up. A tall man with brown hair and kind eyes was crouching down near her. He wore a blue uniform with patches on it. Behind him stood 3 other people. They all looked different from the other aliens on the station. Their skin was a warm brown color and they had hair on their heads. These were humans. Kira had heard about them but never seen them before. Other aliens said humans were dangerous. They said humans ate meat and came from a violent world. They said humans could not be trusted. But the man's voice was soft when he spoke to her. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "Are you hungry?" Kira stared at him. She did not understand why he was being nice to her. Everyone else just walked away when they saw her. The man slowly reached into his pocket and pulled out a small package. He opened it and Kira smelled something wonderful. Food. Real food. "Here," he said, holding it out to her. "It's a nutrition bar. Not very tasty, but it will help." Kira's hand shook as she reached for the food. She grabbed it and ate it quickly, afraid he might take it back. It was the best thing she had tasted in weeks. "My name is Jake Morrison," the man said. "I'm the captain of a cargo ship. What's your name?" "Kira," she whispered. Her voice was rough from not talking for so long. "Well, Kira, you can't stay here. It's not safe." Jake looked around the dark storage area. "When did you last have a real meal?" Kira thought about it. 3 days, maybe 4. The woman with short red hair stepped forward. "Jake, we can't just leave her here." "I know, Lisa." Jake stood up and looked at his crew. "Sam, Amy, what do you think?" The man with dark skin and a friendly smile nodded. "She's just a kid, Captain. We have to help." The young woman with blonde hair was already opening a medical kit. She looked sick, probably dehydrated too. Jake looked back at Kira. "Would you like to come with us? We have food on our ship and a safe place to sleep." Kira did not know what to say. Nobody had been kind to her for so long. She was afraid this was a trick, but she was also afraid to stay in the dark storage area alone. "Other people don't like me," she said quietly. "They say my people are bad." "Well, other people say my people are bad too," Jake said with a small smile. "They say humans are too violent and dangerous." But I think people say a lot of things that aren't true. He held out his hand to her. Come on. Let's get you something to eat and a place to rest. Then we can figure out what to do next. Kira looked at his hand. She had not touched another person in months. Slowly, she reached out and took it. His hand was warm and strong. As they walked through the station toward the docking bays, other aliens stared at them. Kira heard them talking in their different languages. She could feel their disapproval like a cold wind. A tall alien with purple skin and 4 arms blocked their path. Human, it said in a voice like grinding stones. You should not take that creature with you. The Lumeni are a dying race. Let them die with dignity. Jake's jaw tightened. She's a child, and she's coming with us. Your species does not understand. Proper order, the alien said. This is why the galaxy fears you. Maybe that's not such a bad thing, Jake replied. He gently guided Kira around the alien and kept walking. As they reached Jake's ship, Kira looked back at the station. For the first time in months, she was not afraid. These strange humans had done something no other species would do. They had shown her kindness when she needed it most. She did not know that this simple act would change everything, not just for her, but for every species in the galaxy. The Starbound Eagle was not a fancy ship. It was built to carry cargo from one planet to another. The walls were plain metal, and the floors were simple steel plates. But to Kira, it felt like the most wonderful place in the universe. Jake showed her to a small room that used to store spare parts. Sam had quickly cleaned it out and put in a bed, a small table, and a lamp. Lisa had found some clean clothes that were too big for Kira, but warm and soft. This is your room now, Jake said. Nobody will take it away from you. Kira sat on the edge of the bed and touched the blanket. It was the first real bed she had slept in for months. Her eyes filled with tears, but she tried not to cry. She did not want these kind humans to think she was weak. Amy came in with a tray of food. There was hot soup, fresh bread, and something sweet that smelled like flowers. You need to eat slowly, she said gently. Your stomach isn't used to real food anymore. While Kira ate, the crew gathered in the main room of the ship. Through the thin walls, she could hear them talking. What are we going to do with her? Sam asked. We can't just keep a kid on a cargo ship forever. Why not? Lisa said. Her voice was sharp. Nobody else wants her. At least here she's safe. Lisa's right, Jake said. I tried to find someone on the station to take care of her. Every species I talked to said no. The Zephyrians said they only help vegetarian species. The Valtorians called her genetically impure. Even the Altrurians wouldn't help. That's terrible, Amy said. She's just a child. The galaxy doesn't care about that, Jake replied. To them, she's from a dead species. They think it's better to let her die than waste resources helping her. Kira put down her spoon. She had heard these words before. Dead species. Waste of resources. Genetic impurity. The words hurt like sharp knives in her chest. She got up and walked to the door. She wanted to tell them it was okay. She was used to being unwanted. They could leave her at the next station and she would understand. But when she opened the door, Lisa was right there. Hey there, Lisa said with a smile. Feeling better? Kira nodded, but could not speak. Lisa knelt down so they were the same height. I heard you listening, Lisa said softly. You're worried we don't want you here. Everyone says my people should die, Kira whispered. Maybe they are right. Lisa's face became very serious. No, they are very wrong. Your people were special and beautiful, and you are special and beautiful too. But I have nowhere to go. Yes, you do, Lisa said. You have here, with us, if you want to stay. Over the next few weeks, the Starbound Eagle became Kira's new home. The crew treated her like family. Jake taught her how to read star maps and understand the ship's navigation system. Sam showed her how the engines worked and let her help with simple repairs. Amy checked her health every day and made sure she took vitamins to get stronger. But it was Lisa who became like a mother to her. Lisa had lost her own daughter in a transport accident years ago. She never talked about it, but Kira could feel the sadness in her heart. Kira's empathic abilities let her sense emotions in other people, even across different species. "Your people can feel what others feel?" Lisa asked one day as they sat together in the ship's small kitchen. "Yes," Kira said. "It is why other species fear us. They say we can control minds. Can you? No. I can only feel emotions. Happy, sad, angry, afraid. It helps me understand people better." Lisa smiled. "That sounds like a wonderful gift." Kira also discovered she could sense electromagnetic fields. When the ship's scanner broke, she was able to point Sam to the exact problem area just by touching the wall and feeling the electricity flow. "This is amazing," Sam said as he fixed the damaged wire. "You're like a living diagnostic tool." "Is that good?" Kira asked. "Very good. You just saved us 3 days of searching and a lot of money." Word began to spread through the galaxy about the human ship carrying a Lumini child. Some species thought it was proof that humans were as wild and unpredictable as they feared. Others began to wonder if they had been wrong about both humans and the Lumini. The Galactic Council sent an official message to Jake's ship. The message was cold and formal, full of big words that basically said humans were causing trouble by keeping Kira. "They want us to turn her over to proper alien authority," Jake read from the screen. "They say humans don't understand interspecies protocols." "What does that mean?" Kira asked. "It means they want to take you away from us," Lisa said angrily. "Will you let them?" Jake looked at his crew. Sam crossed his arms and shook his head. Amy frowned at the message on the screen. Lisa put her hand on Kira's shoulder. "What do you think?" Jake asked them. "She stays with us," Sam said firmly. "Absolutely," Amy agreed. "Try to take her and see what happens," Lisa added. Jake smiled and deleted the message without answering it. "Well, Kira, looks like you're stuck with us." For the first time since her world was destroyed, Kira felt like she belonged somewhere. These humans did not care what other species thought. They did not care about galactic protocols or proper procedures. They only cared about doing what was right. But their kindness would soon bring danger. Ships were already moving through space, heading toward them. Some wanted to take Kira away. Others wanted to use her for their own purposes. The peaceful days aboard the starbound Eagle were about to end. But Kira was no longer alone and afraid. She had a family now, and families protect each other no matter what the cost. The warning came in the middle of the night cycle. Jake woke up to the ship's alarm blaring and red lights flashing on every wall. He ran to the command center where Sam was already checking the sensors. "What is it?" Jake asked, still pulling on his shirt. "Valtorian warship," Sam said, his voice tight with worry. "Big one. It dropped out of hyperspace about 10 minutes ago and it's heading straight for us." Lisa and Amy rushed in, with Kira close behind them. The young Lumeni girl looked scared but tried to be brave. "Are they here for me?" Kira asked quietly. Jake did not want to lie to her. "Probably." The ship's communication system crackled to life. A cold, deep voice filled the room. "Human vessel Starbound Eagle, this is Commander Zex Thule of the Valtorian. Imperial ship Dominion Spear. You are harboring stolen property of the galactic community. Surrender the Lumeni female immediately." "Stolen property," Lisa said angrily. "She's not property, she's a little girl." Jake walked to the communication panel. "Commander Zex Thule, this is Captain Morrison. The child is under our protection. She stays with us." "You do not understand, human. The Galactic Council has ordered the child be removed from your primitive custody. You will comply or face the consequences. And what consequences are those? Your ship will be destroyed and your crew will be arrested for interfering with galactic law." Jake looked at his crew. They all stared back at him with determined faces. Nobody looked ready to give up. "Then I guess we have a problem," Jake said into the communicator. "Because she's not going anywhere." The channel went silent. On the sensor screen, the Valtorian warship grew larger as it approached, It was 5 times the size of the starbound Eagle and armed with weapons that could cut their cargo ship in half. "How long until they reach us?" Jake asked. 20 minutes, Sam replied. "Maybe less. Can we outrun them?" "Not in a straight fight, but if we can reach the Broken Rings asteroid field, we might have a chance. My cousin Tony ran cargo through there for years. I know some of the hidden paths." Jake nodded. "Do it." As the ship changed course and accelerated, Kira came to stand beside Jake. Her silver eyes were wide, but she was not crying. "I should go with them," she said. "Then you will be safe." "No," Jake said firmly. "We don't abandon family. Ever. But I am not really your family." Lisa knelt down and hugged Kira tightly. "Yes, you are. Family isn't about blood or species. It's about people who care for each other no matter what." The next few hours were the longest of their lives. The starbound Eagle raced through space with the massive Valtorian warship close behind. The Dominion Spear was faster, but Sam knew tricks that the military ship did not expect. They dove through dense clouds of space dust that hid them from sensors. They used the gravity of dead planets to slingshot around corners. They flew so close to burning stars that their ship's hull glowed with heat. But the Valtorians kept following. Commander Zex Thule would not give up. "There," Sam pointed at the sensor screen. "The Broken Rings. If we can get inside that maze of rocks, we can lose them." The asteroid field looked like a giant graveyard of stone. Millions of rocks, some as small as pebbles and others as big as cities, spun through space in chaotic patterns. Ships that tried to fly through without knowing the safe paths were usually found later as twisted metal and broken dreams. As they entered the field, Kira suddenly grabbed Jake's arm. "Wait," she said. "Something is wrong." "What do you mean?" "I can feel something else. Another ship. Not the Valtorian one." Sam checked his sensors but found nothing. "I don't see anything." "It's there," Kira insisted, "hiding behind that big asteroid, and the people on it are very angry." Before Jake could ask more questions, a second ship appeared from behind the asteroid Kira had pointed to. This one was smaller than the Valtorian warship but looked mean and dangerous. Its hull was painted with strange symbols that glowed like fire. "Lumini terrorists," Amy whispered, recognizing the symbols. "The Bright Dawn faction." The terrorist ship's communication system activated. A harsh female voice spoke in broken galactic common. "Give us the child, humans. She belongs with her own kind." "Her own kind tried to kidnap her," Jake replied. "We are trying to save our species. The girl has the pure genetic code we need. She will help us rebuild what was lost." "By making her into a breeding machine," Lisa said with disgust. Now the starbound Eagle was trapped between 2 enemy ships, in a deadly asteroid field. The Valtorian warship wanted to take Kira to prove their superiority over humans. The terrorist ship wanted to use her to create more Lumini children. Neither side cared what Kira wanted. "Sam, can you find us a way out of here?" Jake asked. "Working on it, Captain, but with 2 ships hunting us, it's going to be tough." Kira walked to the front of the command center and put her hands on the navigation console. Her eyes closed and she took a deep breath. "I can feel the electromagnetic fields of all the asteroids," she said. "The safe paths show up like bright lines in my mind. I can guide us through." "Are you sure?" Jake asked. "Yes. But we have to move fast. The angry people on both ships are planning something bad." Jake looked at his crew one more time. They were about to try something that had never been done before. Trust a 12-year-old alien girl to navigate them through the most dangerous asteroid field in the galaxy, while being chased by 2 warships that wanted to destroy or capture them. But they had come this far by trusting each other. They would not stop now. "Kira," Jake said, "get us out of here." Kira's hands trembled as she touched the navigation controls. The electromagnetic fields from thousands of spinning asteroids created a map in her mind that looked like a web of glowing lines. Some paths were safe. Others led to crushing death. Between giant rocks. "Turn left now," she whispered. "Sharp left." Sam followed her directions exactly. The starbound Eagle twisted between 2 massive asteroids just as they crashed together where the ship had been seconds before. Behind them, the Valtorian warship was not so lucky. Commander Zexthul tried to follow the same path, but his huge ship was too slow to make the tight turn. The Dominion spear scraped against an asteroid and pieces of metal flew off into space. "The big ship is hurt," Kira said, her eyes still closed. "But the terrorist ship is still following us." "Can you lose them?" Jake asked. "Maybe. There is a place ahead where the asteroids spin very fast. If we time it right, we can get through. But they will have to wait." For the next hour, Kira guided them deeper into the asteroid field. The Bright Dawn terrorist ship stayed close behind, firing energy bolts that barely missed them. The Valtorian warship followed at a distance, too damaged to catch up, but too stubborn to give up. Finally, Kira opened her eyes. "There," she pointed ahead. "That space station. It is hidden, but I can feel the people inside." Through the swirling rocks, they could see a small station built into the side of a huge asteroid. It looked old and battered, like it had been there for many years. Strange symbols covered its hull and ships of different designs were docked to its ports. "I've heard of this place," Sam said quietly. "Sanctuary Station. They say it's run by outcasts and refugees." "Sounds like our kind of people," Lisa replied. As they approached the station, a voice came over their communication system. This time it was friendly and warm. "Unknown cargo ship, this is Sanctuary Station. You look like you could use some help." "That would be great," Jake replied. "We have 2 hostile ships chasing us." "We know. We've been watching. Dock at port 7. Quickly now." The starbound Eagle slipped into the docking bay just as the terrorist ship arrived. But instead of following them inside, the Bright Dawn ship stopped and waited. The station's defensive systems came online and energy shields blocked the entrance. "They can't get in now," Sam said with relief. Jake and his crew walked through the station's airlocks into a place unlike anywhere they had ever seen. The corridors were filled with aliens from dozens of different species. But these were not the proud, powerful races that controlled the galaxy. These were the ones who had been pushed aside and forgotten. A tall man with gray hair and kind eyes walked up to them. He wore a human uniform, but with patches from many different worlds. "I'm Captain Ben Cooper," he said, shaking Jake's hand. "Welcome to Sanctuary Station." "Another human," Lisa said with surprise. "One of the few out here on the rim," Ben replied. "Most humans stick to the safe trade routes. What brings you to this part of space?" Jake looked at Kira, who was hiding behind Lisa's legs. "We are protecting someone that nobody else wants to protect." Ben's face became serious. "The Lumeni child." "Yes, we heard about that. Come with me. There are people here you need to meet." They followed Ben through the station's winding corridors. Along the way, they saw amazing things. A group of insect-like aliens called Krillians were working together to build complex machines. Most galaxy species thought Krillians were mindless drones, but here they were creating art and technology. In another area, aquatic aliens called Deepsworn had built beautiful gardens that grew in water-filled tubes along the walls. Their biotechnology was more advanced than anything the major species used, but they were considered primitive by the galactic community. "Everyone here has been rejected by mainstream society," Ben explained. "We've built our own community based on helping each other instead of competing." They entered a large meeting room where several beings sat around a table. Ben introduced them one by one. Thekmor was a Valtorian who had been exiled from his empire for refusing to support their genetic purity programs. His scales were scarred from battles with his own people. Syra 9 was a former Zephyrian diplomat who had been cast out for trying to build bridges between species instead of maintaining isolation. Her green skin was pale from years away from her homeworld's special sunlight. Glix was a Krillian philosopher, whose individual thoughts were considered impossible by most aliens. But he spoke with wisdom that amazed everyone who listened. "We know why you're here," Thekmor said in his deep voice. "The Empire wants the child to prove humans can be controlled. The terrorists want her genetics to rebuild their species. Both groups see her as property," Syra 9 added sadly. "They do not see her as a person." Glix clicked his mandibles together, which was how his species showed agreement. "The galaxy has committed many crimes against smaller species. The Lumeni were targeted for destruction because their empathic abilities threatened the power structures. Jake felt anger rise in his chest. You mean their world was destroyed on purpose? The war was started to hide the real goal, Ben said. The elimination of a species that could feel the lies and hatred of their leaders. Kira had been listening quietly, but now she stepped forward. My parents always said we were killed because we could feel truth in people's hearts. Your parents were right, Techmore said gently, and now you are the last evidence of that crime. But not for long, a new voice said from the doorway. Everyone turned to see a human woman in a research uniform. Her name tag read Dr. Rachel Stone. I've been studying Lumeni genetics for years, she said. With Kira's help, we might be able to find other survivors. Hidden refugees scattered across the galaxy. People who think they are the only ones left. You mean there might be others like me? Kira asked, her silver eyes wide with hope. Possibly. Your empathic abilities could help us locate them. But first, we need to deal with your immediate problem. Through the station's windows, they could see both enemy ships waiting in the asteroid field. The Valtorian warship had repaired its damage and was moving closer. The terrorist ship was trying to find another way into the station. They won't give up, Jake said. No, Ben agreed. But maybe it's time they learned something about the species they've been stepping on for so long. He smiled and pressed a button on the table. Throughout the station, alarms began to ring. But these were not warning alarms. They were call to arms alarms. Everyone on this station has been hurt by the major powers, Ben said. Time to show them what happens when the underdogs work together. The battle began not with weapons, but with words. Jake stood in the communication center of Sanctuary Station, his hand hovering over the broadcast button. Every screen in the room showed the two enemy ships waiting outside. The Valtorian warship, Dominion Spear, floated like a metal mountain, its weapons pointed at the station. The terrorist ship Bright Dawn circled like a hungry predator. Are you sure about this? Ben asked. Once you start broadcasting to the whole galaxy, there's no going back. Jake looked at Kira, who stood beside him with her small hand on his arm. The young Lumeni girl nodded encouragingly. Someone has to tell the truth, Jake said. It might as well be us. He pressed the button. Across the galaxy, on thousands of worlds and space stations, communication screens flickered to life. From the biggest Valtorian city to the smallest human colony, everyone could see and hear what happened next. My name is Jake Morrison, he began, his voice calm and strong. I'm the captain of a human cargo ship. 3 months ago, I found a 12-year-old girl hiding in the dark corners of Nexus Prime Station. She was hungry, scared, and completely alone. On the screen, Kira stepped forward. Her silver eyes looked directly into the camera. My name is Kira, she said in her soft voice. I am the last of the Lumeni. My people were killed not in a random war, but because we could feel the truth in other people's hearts. Because we could sense when leaders were lying to their own people. Jake continued the story. He told the galaxy about how every major species had refused to help one frightened child. He explained how humans, the so-called primitive carnivores, had been the only ones willing to show kindness to someone in need. You call us dangerous because we eat meat, Jake said. You call us violent because we come from a harsh world. But when we found this child, we did not see prey. We did not see a resource to be used. We saw a person who needed help. Commander Zexthul's angry voice cut through the broadcast. Human, you do not understand the complexities of galactic civilization. Some species are meant to survive and others are not. And who decides that? Jake asked. You? The Galactic Council? The same people who ordered the destruction of an entire world because they were afraid of what the Lumeni might reveal? Kira placed her hand on the communication console. Her empathic abilities let her project emotions across species barriers, and suddenly every person watching the broadcast could feel what she felt. The loneliness of being the last of her kind, the terror of hiding in dark corners, waiting to die, the overwhelming joy of finding people who cared about her not because of what she could do for them, but simply because she was alive. The effect was immediate. Across the galaxy, beings who had never felt Lumeni emotions suddenly understood what had been lost when her people died. On the Krillian homeworld, millions of insect-like beings rose up from their forced labor. They had been told they were mindless drones, but Kira's broadcast reminded them that they were individuals with their own thoughts and dreams. In the deep-sworn ocean cities, aquatic beings emerged from their hidden depths. They had been called primitive, but their biotechnology began neutralizing Valtorian weapons across dozens of star systems. Even on Valtorian worlds, some of the Empire's own people began to question what their government had done in their name. The terrorist ship, Bright Dawn, suddenly changed course, flying straight at the Valtorian warship. The fanatics had heard Kira's emotional broadcast and realized that using her as a breeding machine would be just another form of the oppression that had destroyed their species. For the children who will never be born, the terrorist captain screamed as her ship crashed into the Dominion Spear's weapon systems. Both ships were badly damaged in the collision. Commander Zexthul's proud warship was now just a floating piece of junk, its weapons destroyed and its engines failing. But the real victory was happening across the galaxy. Species that had been silent for centuries were finally speaking up. The rigid order that had kept some aliens in power while others suffered was cracking like thin ice. Ben walked over to another communication panel. "Sanctuary station to all ships," he announced. "Any vessel carrying refugees or outcasts is welcome here. We have food, shelter, and most importantly, we have hope." Within hours, ships began arriving from all over the galaxy. Not warships or luxury vessels, but small, battered craft carrying beings who had been rejected by mainstream society. They came seeking the same thing Kira had found, a place where they could belong. Dr. Rachel Stone worked frantically in her laboratory, using Kira's genetic information to search databases across known space. By the end of the day, she had found them. 17 other Lumeni survivors hiding on different worlds, afraid to reveal themselves. "They're alive," she told Kira, with tears in her eyes. "Your people are not extinct." 3 years later, Kira stood on the observation deck of New Sanctuary, a much larger station built from the combined efforts of dozens of previously ignored species. She was 15 now, taller and more confident, but she still had the same gentle silver eyes. Behind her, children from many different species played together in the station's gardens. Human kids ran alongside young Krillians. Valtorian exiles taught deep-sworn young ones how to speak Galactic Common. Even a few young Lumeni rescued from their hiding places laughed and played with the others. Jake approached, his hair now gray at the temples but his smile unchanged. "Any regrets?" he asked. Kira shook her head. The galaxy learned something important that day. That being carnivorous doesn't make you savage. Being different doesn't make you inferior. And sometimes the people everyone calls dangerous are the ones who save everything. She looked out at the stars, where ships from the new Galactic Alliance traveled between worlds that had learned to cooperate instead of dominate. "Thank you," she said simply. "For what?" "For showing the galaxy what it really means to be civilized."